The U.S. announced it will be re-entering the Iranian nuclear deal. In a statement, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said, going back to the old agreement will pave Iran's path to a nuclear arsenal. Before the announcement, President Biden made his first call to Netanyahu a month after taking office. Biden's delay in calling Netanyahu led to concerns that ties between the two allies would not be as warm as during the Trump era. To understand more about the Israel-U.S. relations after that call, I interviewed former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon. Ambassador Danon, thanks for joining us here on Jerusalem Dateline. Last night, it seems like finally there was a phone call between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Biden. You had famously put on the Prime Minister's phone number to encourage the President to call. What do you see next after they finally made this phone call?
So indeed, Chris, it was an important phone call, and now it's time to move on to deal with the main issues. And the first issue is Iran. Only a few days from now, Iran will have to decide what they are doing regarding the inspections, what will be their policy, and the U.S. will have to react to that. So now is the time to work together, and I believe that Israel and the U.S. will continue to cooperate against Iran. And I hope that the new administration will not try to appease the Iranians, but will actually apply more pressure against them.
Do you have concerns about some of the appointments now by the Biden administration? Actually, some of the same people that negotiated the 2015 JCPOA, the Iranian nuclear deal.
Well, I'm not looking at the people, I'm looking at the policy. And it's important to understand that today, Iran of 2021 is not Iran of 2015. A lot of things changed since then. And re-entering the agreement today, it will be a mistake. I would advise the US first to speak with their allies, maybe even to call them to Washington, D.C., to have a summit with Prime Minister Netanyahu, leaders from the Gulf, the strong allies of the US in the region, and together with them to think about the policy in the region. Re-entering the agreement and then trying to negotiate will not be helpful.
It does seem that Iran is getting bolder in terms of their nuclear program, enriching uranium to 20%, researching uranium metal, and actually increasing the amount of uranium. Are you concerned about the way Iran is acting right now after President Biden has been inaugurated?
Absolutely, we are worried because the Iranians breached the agreement from the beginning. When we revealed the archives from Tehran, we actually proved to the world that they were lying from the beginning, and they are continuing to do it. So my advice is not to believe them, to look at what they are actually doing on the ground. And as you mentioned, they continue to enrich uranium, they continue to test ballistic missiles, they continue to support their proxies. And I think the right approach is to apply sanctions and to demand them to change the course they are taking.
There are some other concerns people have about the administration. For example, just a little while ago, a reporter asked a spokeswoman that is Israel and Saudi Arabia allies of the U.S., and it basically was a non-answer. Are you concerned about some of the answers we're coming out of the White House right now?
That's a fact. You cannot change the fact that Israel is the closest ally of the U.S. It's based on mutual values, and nothing can change it. But I'm not concerned about statements. I'm worried about actions, policy. And I think in the next few days, we will actually be able to see where the new administration is heading regarding the Iranian regime, whether they are trying to appease them or they are actually, as they promised, they will be tough on the issue and they will not allow them to continue with their nuclear ambitions. So I think within a week, we will know more where they are heading.
There was a large full-scale exercise up on the northern border. Are you also concerned about the growing threat of Hezbollah, its number of missiles, and their ambitions against the state of Israel?
It is a problem. You know, I served as the Deputy Minister of Defense, and what we see today that the Iranians are funding Hezbollah. They have hundreds of thousands of rockets and missiles. And I'm telling to the Lebanese government and to the Lebanese people, if you don't take your act now, if you will not prevent Hezbollah from massing their missiles next to our border, you will pay the price. The consequences will be painful. And I would advise the Lebanese government to take action today before it's too late.
Final question, Ambassador. In the next 4 years, how do you see Israel dealing with the new administration?
So, we believe that we can work together. We want to work together. We have a lot in common. And I'm optimistic by nature, but I can tell you one thing for sure. We cannot compromise on our security. The main threat to our security today is nuclear Iran. So hopefully the US will lead the efforts against nuclear Iran, but we are ready to do whatever is necessary to protect ourselves.
Ambassador Danan, I appreciate your time being here with us.
Thank you very much.
Alpha, Omega.